Harry Kane is in the form of his life.
But he goes the other way and he wins the duel. Rice takes. And it's met with the authority of King Kane.
Aimed up at Kane! Captain delivers again!
Cordon for Kane! Harry Kane! It's Kane!
Yeah, it's an honour to play with him. For me, he's the best England player of all time.
But dominance like this doesn't just appear. This version of Kane wasn't forged last season or even in the couple of seasons before it. Instead, it's been the result of an entire career of refinement, all shaping him into the most complete version of himself. Perhaps even the best player in the world. But can he cement that status with World Cup glory? And why, despite already playing in 2 World Cups for England, does this feel like the tournament where the World Cup finally has a Harry Kane problem? Up until last summer, Kane had gone his entire career without ever lifting a trophy. You could put that down to him spending the first 14 years of his career either out on loan or at Tottenham, where making a mockery of Arsenal not lifting actual trophies felt like the main event of every season. That's not to say Kane hadn't put in the effort and come close, both with Spurs and with England. However, he had never influenced a final in the same way he consistently decided games every week. He first had that 2015 Carabao Cup final during his breakout season, where he scored 31 goals in 51 appearances on his way to being crowned the PFA Young Player of the Year. Unfortunately, that final may have come too early for Mauricio Pochettino's young Spurs side, as it was a more experienced Chelsea side that emerged victorious. Kane then followed up that campaign by winning the Premier League Golden Boot in each of the next 2 seasons, to leading Spurs to their highest ever finishes, 3rd and 2nd, the latter with a club record points haul of 86 since the league's founding in 1992. By this point, Spurs had become renowned for their young, dynamic squad, which played fast and attractive football, and Kane was the face of it all. When he signed that eye-watering 6-year contract extension in 2018, it came with the expectation that the club would finally splash the cash to reinforce a squad that had done all the foreplay of contenders, but just hadn't sealed the deal with any silverware. But what didn't help Kane's pursuit was Tottenham going 18 months without making a single signing, which effectively stalled Pochettino's project, even as they defied the odds to reach their first ever Champions League final. In that 2019 final, Kane had just returned from a 2-month injury layoff and struggled to make an impact as Liverpool won 2-0. Kane had become a global superstar, but he regularly found himself a victim of Tottenham's sporting malpractices and, in truth, their chronic Spursiness, which likely urged chairman Daniel Levy to sack Pochettino and bring in Jose Mourinho. But Mourinho, as great as he once was already edging toward being washed by the time he arrived in 2019. And it felt like Levy's long-held crush on the Portuguese boss, dating back to 2007, had him in such a trance that it completely clouded his judgment. The upside of the appointment, however, was that it allowed Kane to fully tap into his playmaking abilities, as Mourinho frequently encouraged him to drop deep and progress the ball. This culminated in the Englishman becoming the first player in Premier League history to top the charts for both goals and assists in the 2020-21 season. During that season, Spurs made it to the 2021 Carabao Cup final, which he returned just in time for after recovering from an ankle injury, only to see City edge a tightly contested match of few chances. But the ongoing turmoil at Spurs, which saw Mourinho surprisingly sacked just days before that final, and the club taking months to find his successor, had finally put Kane off. However, with 3 years still left on his contract, Levy refused to entertain any offers. And so Kane returned to work, finishing the 2021-22 season under the guidance of Antonio Conte, another high-profile manager who also realised that using Kane solely as an out-and-out striker would be a waste of his talents. Amidst this, Kane became Spurs' all-time leading scorer, shattering a record previously thought unbreakable, as Jimmy Greaves had held that title with 268 goals for over 50 years. Yet despite this remarkable achievement, the only quote-unquote trophy Kane had to show for it was an Audi Cup. But by 2023, with only a year left on his contract, Kane finally had the leverage to push for a move away. By the way, if you're enjoying the video so far, we'd be incredibly grateful if you subscribed. Your support helps us grow and continue creating the content you love. For much of Kane's career, every aspect of his life revolved around Spurs. As such, the move to Bayern was about meeting his own level and finally placing himself in the best possible position to compete for titles. After all, when he signed for Bayern in August 2023 for a club record £85 million, the Bavarians had just clinched an unprecedented 11th successive Bundesliga title, marking the longest period of dominance in any of the top European leagues. But as it turned out, he was made to wait another season for his first trophy following the phenomenal exploits of Xabi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen, who stormed unbeaten to the Bundesliga title. On other fronts, Bayern exited the Champions League in the semi-finals and suffered one of their most humiliating defeats in a DFB Pokal's second-round exit to third-tier Saarbrücken. Little blame could be placed on Kane though, who set a new record with his 36 Bundesliga goals in a debut season, but the trophy curse appeared to be alive and well, and it seemed only he could join the mighty Bayern and win nothing. His international career, meanwhile, had been defined by his efforts to propel England further than they have ever gone in the modern era, only to look so burdened with responsibility by the end of each competition. In the 2018 World Cup, he faded toward the tournament's conclusion and was virtually a spectator when England lost to Croatia in the semis. At Euro 2020, he endured a slow start before coming alive in the knockout stages, scoring a crucial goal against Germany, 2 against Ukraine, and the winner in the semi-final against Denmark. However, the final against Italy was another game too far. It was perhaps no surprise that a similar pattern resurfaced at the Euros in 2024, where he was subdued in the group stages, sharper once the knockouts began, only to fall quiet again in the final against Spain. In between those tournaments, he is often, and rather unfortunately, remembered more for the penalty he sent into orbit against France in Qatar, which would have forced the quarter-final into extra time, rather than for the penalty he had confidently converted earlier in the game. It was deeply unfortunate for Kane that, of the 5 finals he had played for club and country to that point, the only one in which he looked truly sharp came in his very first, at just 21 years old. While no one can reasonably blame him for being injured before a couple of these showpieces, some have held these moments against him, conveniently overlooking the fact that Spurs and England had often reached these moments in the first place largely because of Kane. If Kane was still trophyless, his drought would have remained a topic of conversation for the rest of his life. But no one really remembers how many cups you win after you up your tally from 0 to 1. Somehow, someway, 2025 had to be the year Kane broke his curse. It just had to be. If not, then he might have seriously needed to see a witch doctor to lift the curse from his body and soul. If the last few years have shown us anything, it is that Kane has a relentlessness towards winning. And while the Champions League and DFB Pokal eluded him again for the second year running, his determination finally led him to his first career trophy, the Bundesliga title. And with that first hurdle cleared, Kane's career would no longer be defined by regret but by opportunity in what comes next. He's now collecting trophies like there's no tomorrow. Last season was his best yet, as he scored a staggering 61 goals in 51 appearances across all competitions. Not only was it the best return of his career in a single season, but it was 19 more than anyone else across Europe's top 5 leagues, and the highest total by a player since Cristiano Ronaldo hit 61 for Real Madrid in 2014-15, a mark Kane reached in 3 fewer games. 36 of those came in the Bundesliga, 17 clear of runner-up Dennis Undav, the biggest scoring margin the division has seen in more than half a century, back in the days of Gerd Müller. He was just as ruthless in the Cups, becoming only the 3rd player ever to score in every round of a single DFB Pokal campaign, signing off with a hat-trick in the 3-0 final win over Stuttgart. That took him to a ridiculous 13 hat-tricks for Bayern in all competitions, numbers that make it look like he's playing FIFA on beginner mode. For England too, he now stands clear. For decades, Bobby Charlton's 49-goal record looked untouchable, until Wayne Rooney finally surpassed it in 2015 to take top spot, a perch he held until 2023, when Kane decided he wasn't done breaking records and moved past him as well. While he had embraced creative responsibility in his final few years in England, his time at Bayern has seen him take the term complete footballer to a whole new level. And now that duality appears to have conditioned him perfectly for England. In a side brimming with dynamic players but short on progressive passes, Kane is indispensable. Ultimately, if Tuchel's England are to achieve anything this summer, their leading players must peak at the right time. And should they see the same version of Kane at Bayern during the World Cup knockouts, they will give themselves a genuine chance to do something special.
Achieved so much and so many dreams along the way. Obviously that title was one that I wanted to tick off, the team trophies, and You know, to say I've won 4 now, but yeah, that motivates me now to do it in an England shirt. We haven't won in an England shirt for 60 years, and we've been extremely close. We've been knocking on that door, as I kind of was in my career. Now, you know, it's time to step over that line for sure.
If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe for more content like this. Also, don't forget to hit the notifications bell so you never miss a beat. And with that, we'll see you in the next video.